There is a moment every spring that feels oddly familiar. You walk into the garden with a plan you felt confident about all winter. The beds are mapped out, seeds are chosen, dates are written down. Everything looked sensible on paper, and yet, only a few weeks later, something feels off. Plants do not look even, some surge ahead, others hesitate, soil behaves differently than expected, jobs begin to stack up faster than you planned for, and you start adjusting things you were sure you had already decided. Nothing has collapsed, nothing has failed outright, but the plan is no longer in control. This video is about that moment. Not because you planned badly, not because you lacked experience, and not because spring weather surprised you. It's because spring exposes a flaw in how most garden plans are built. Once you see it, you stop blaming the season and start understanding why this happens year after year. Most gardeners believe their plans fail because spring is unpredictable. Late frosts, cold nights, heavy rain, sudden heat, dry spells that arrive too early. Those things matter. They cause damage. They force reactions, but they are not the reason plans fall apart. Weather reveals problems. It does not create them. If weather alone ruined plans, experienced gardeners would stop seeing this pattern. They do not. The same thing happens whether you're in the first season or in your 40th. That tells us something important. The real problem is not spring itself. The problem is that planning happens in a system that no longer exists when spring begins. Winter planning takes place in quiet, static environment. Beds sit still, soil looks settled. Nothing is growing, nothing is demanding attention. Decisions feel calm because there's no feedback. You decide what goes where. You assign dates, you choose varieties, you plan sequences. Nothing pushes back. There is no resistance and no urgency, no biological response yet. That silence creates confidence. It feels like control, but it's an illusion. Spring does not continue winter planning. Spring interrupts it. The garden does not ease into growth. It wakes unevenly, unpredictably, and with momentum that you did not plan for. Soil does not warm all at once. Moisture does not move evenly. Microclimates assert themselves. Roots lag behind leaves. Old decisions begin to surface as consequences weeks later. Spring is not the execution phase of your plan. It is the stress test, and most plans are not built to survive one. Here is why gardeners get caught out. We plan gardens as if they respond immediately to decisions. We assume that when we act, the garden responds in a neat, linear way. But gardens operate on delay. What you see in spring often reflects what you did last autumn, or last summer, or even the year before. Compaction, organic matter, root pathways, drainage patterns, microbial balance. None of that resets just because you made a fresh plan. Spring does not start from zero. It starts from accumulation, and plans rarely account for that. This is why spring feels so busy so quickly. You're not just managing new growth, you're managing the consequences of past decisions, all surfacing at once. Beds that look fine in winter reveal poor drainage once roots wake up. Areas that seemed fertile stall because of microbial activity lags behind warming air. Plants show stress that has nothing to do with what you planted this year. The plan did not fail suddenly. It was undermined, slowly, and spring simply exposed it. This is also why problems appear late. Gardeners often say everything looked great at first. Then it went wrong. That is not bad luck. Early growth is cheap. Plants run on stored energy. Seedlings rely on reserves, leaves expand faster than roots establish, and stress hides behind momentum. Plans feel successful early because the garden has not yet asked for anything difficult. Then the system catches up. Roots need oxygen, soil structures matter, and water movements become critical. Nutrients availability shifts from stored to cycled. This is when plans start slipping. Not because you reacted poorly, but because the plan was built for the wrong phase of growth. Experience does not protect you from this. It improves how fast you respond, but it does not remove delay. Even after decades in the garden, I still see it. You notice issues sooner, you adjust quicker, you work harder, yet the garden still pushes back in spring. Because experience does not change biology. It only changes awareness, and awareness still operates inside delayed systems. This is where most gardeners reach for familiar comforts. They look for calendars, they check dates, they copy layouts that worked elsewhere. They repeat last year's plan with minor tweaks. These things feel reassuring because they replace uncertainty with structure. But structure is not the same as resilience. Calendars assume stability, other gardens assume similarity, and past successes assume repeatability. Spring breaks all three. Calendars do not know your soil temperature, they do not feel your drainage, and they do not see how exposed your site is to wind. They do not know how much organic matter actually decomposed over winter. They offer confidence without feedback. Copying other gardens does the same thing. It feels sensible to model success, but gardens are not interchangeable. Soil behaves locally. Light shifts differently. Moisture moves in ways you cannot see from photos. Borrowing a layout borrows assumptions that rarely match your ground. And these are not careless mistakes. They are understandable shortcuts. But spring punishes shortcuts. What makes this frustrating is that planning still feels necessary. You cannot garden without some structure. You need decisions, you need directions. So gardeners double down. They refine plans, they add detail, they plan earlier, they try to anticipate more. This creates more confidence in winter and more disappointment in spring, because details does not solve the real problem. The real problem is that most plans focus on events, while gardens respond to processes. Plans are built around actions. Plant this year, sow this on this date, feed this at this stage, water on this schedule. Gardens respond to accumulation. Temperature builds, moisture shifts, roots explore. Biology wakes gradually. Stress compounds. You can schedule actions, you cannot schedule responses. Spring does not care what you plan to do. It responds to what exists. This is why plans unravel quietly, not dramatically. They do not collapse, they drift. They adjust spacing. You delay planting. You change watering. You swap crops. You abandon parts of the plan without consciously deciding to. By mid-season, the plan exists only as a loose memory. And gardeners often blame themselves for that. They should not. The failure is not personal, it's structural. Most plans are designed to predict outcomes. Gardens reward systems that adapt to reality as it unfolds. The difference matters. A plan that depends on accuracy breaks easily. A system that evolves absorbs shock. Spring exposes which one you built. This is the point where I want to be clear about something. This exact problem is the reason I built GrowTrack. Not because gardeners needed another planner, but because planners freeze decisions in time and gardeners do not stand still. After decades of growing, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Every season, the same thing happened. The written plan mattered less and less as spring progressed. Decisions made months earlier lost relevance. What mattered was what the garden was telling me right now, what had already happened, what I had already done, what was accumulating quietly beneath the surface. No notebook, no calendar, and no diagram could hold that context. So I stopped thinking in terms of plans and started thinking in terms of memory. Gardens remember everything. They remember compaction. They remember drainage. They remember stress. And they remember repeated crops. They remember what thrived and what struggled. But gardeners rarely do. Not because they're careless, but because gardens contain too much information to track mentally over time. This is the gap GrowTrack exists to fill. Not to replace planning, but to let the plan evolve alongside the garden instead of fighting it. A living system needs living context, something that updates as conditions change, something that carries forward what happened last season into next, something that reduces guesswork rather than adding more instructions. That shift from fixed plans to evolving systems is the difference between reacting every spring and understanding why spring behaves the way it does. This video is not about teaching you how to use any tool. It's about seeing the real problem clearly. Because once you understand why garden plans rarely survive spring, everything else in this series makes sense. Why copying other gardens backfires. Why calendars create false confidence. Why winter planning feels productive even when it misleads. And why every garden plan ignores one critical factor. All of them trace back to the same mismatch. Planning assumes stability. spring delivers transition. If there's one idea to carry forward from this video, it's this. Spring is not the execution phase of your plan. Spring is the moment your garden reveals what your plan failed to consider. That does not mean planning is pointless. It means planning must change its role, not to control outcomes, but to learn from them. In the next videos, we will isolate each pressure spring applies and pull it apart properly. We'll look at why copying success multiplies failure, while dates feel comfortable but mislead, why winter planning rewards effort rather than accuracy, and one factor every plan quietly ignores, even experienced ones. Each of those deserves its own space. For now, understand this. If your garden plan feels like it's vanished by late spring, nothing went wrong. The garden did exactly what living systems do. It exposed the gap between prediction and reality. And once you plan for that gap, spring stops feeling like failure and starts feeling like information.